topics and opinions expressed on the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4WN Radio.
This is Beyond Confidence with your host, Divya Parekh. Do you want to live a more fulfilling life? Do you want to live your legacy and achieve your personal, professional, and financial goals? Well, coming up on Divya Parekh's Beyond Confidence, you will hear real stories of leaders, entrepreneurs, and achievers who have stepped into discomfort, shattered their status quo, and are living the life they want. You will learn how relationships are the key to achieving your aspirations and financial goals. Moving your career or business forward does not have to happen at the expense of your personal or family life, or vice versa. Learn more at www.divyaparekh.com, and you can connect with Divya at contact@divyaparekh.com. This is Beyond Confidence, and now here's your host, Divya Parekh.
Good morning, listeners. Hope you had wonderful holidays and got some time to relax, recharge, recalibrate, spend time with your loved ones, because these are the memories that carry us through the whole year. So, what if the most important project you ever managed is you? And that's what we are going to be talking about today. Welcome, Curtis.
Hi, Divya. Thanks for having me, my friend. Really appreciate it.
Oh, it's a pleasure to have you on the show. So, Curtis, we usually start out at the beginning. In your childhood or youth, is there a person or a moment that left a positive mark on you?
Oh, in my childhood, I think in my childhood, I would say that I learned early on how to have people recognize you, be visible to those folks, and people give you stuff. So when I got good grades, I kept noticing that people would want to give me money for those grades, right? Um, if you ever seen the movie Akilah and the Bee, I was sort of that neighborhood kid because I was able to get the adults to marvel at me because I learned how to read early, being taught by my grandfather with Reader's Digest. And I turned that into, I guess, my first entrepreneurial pursuit where I would read to the neighborhood kids and I would get cookies and milk, growing up in North Philadelphia. So, I would say, yeah, those childhood memories helped me understand the dynamics of relationships, people, and how to move people to basically, give you things and see you as somebody that's valuable. And I'll end this part with this. When I would run around with my friends and let's say I broke a window, I don't know what it was, and I think it was those other things that I mentioned, but people would just say, "Hey, Curtis was just around the wrong crowd or hanging with those bad kids." Whereas other kids would get in trouble. So I think I was lucky. Now it could be good and bad, right? You end up getting away with things that you shouldn't. But yeah, early on, just the power of if you do the right things, good things come to you.
Mm, yeah, definitely. So, when you were a child or you, did you have aspirations to go after a certain career?
Absolutely. I wanted to be an Air Force pilot. So my uncle was in the Air Force, and out of all my uncles, I had a mailman uncle. I had another uncle who basically didn't work much until later in life, and then I had my Air Force uncle. And my uncle Junior had a place in, I believe it was in the Rental Air Force Base in Illinois, and I got to go there, and I saw how he lived. And I'm gonna tell you, it was the biggest aha moment for me was he had a house with grass. I couldn't wait to go there. I lived in North Philadelphia, concrete jungle. Grass was the park. Even my school didn't have grass, so I didn't grow up around those free running areas. And now I go to this place on this Air Force base and I'm just loving it. So for me, and also seeing how my uncle behaved, he just had this discipline and aura about him that I wanted. I wanted all of that. So I wanted to be an Air Force pilot. And then Star Wars came out. And then I wanted to be an Air Force pilot and I wanted to shoot other planes out the sky. The crazy thing was at that time, I wasn't realizing that I was shooting another human, right? It was
Right.
almost like a video game. But I never fulfilled that dream of going to the Air Force first and being like my uncle and being a pilot. I just, quite frankly, I didn't have the grades or the acumen to pursue that part of the dream. So I had to make some changes.
Well, you had a dream, and that's what counts, because so many times people say, I didn't go after that or something like that. But every dream brings its own experience and learnings from it that we carry forward. So I'm assuming that you took a detour, and where did you land?
Yeah, the detour for me um, came right around high school and in my first year in college. I was working at the Philadelphia Electric Company, and there was a gentleman there by the name of George Zamus, and PCs were starting to come out, right? So I was working in computers with these big monstrosities of massive disks for data and things like that, and personal computers came out. And he sort of mentored me in that space, and that started me in my career around IT. I became very, very fascinated. I was working with other engineers. I was literally in school for mechanical engineering, and he was a mechanical engineer, but he drove me towards the computer. And then
Mm,
for several years in the computers, but then the next pivot came when another leader, gentleman by the name of Mike Black, asked me directly about my career because I was starting to take two separate paths. And he says, "Hey, are you looking to do a technical track or do you want to be around more people? Tell me what you're thinking." And as we talked through it, he said, "The way that I see you, you would make a tremendous project manager."
mm.
And that's how it all began from a project management perspective. I pursued that and I've kept that. And everything that I do is rooted in project management.
Mm. And you talk about handling oneself as a project manager as well.
Yeah.
So you became project manager, learned a lot, because project management is having responsibility without authority.
Yes.
You're responsible for it, and yet you gotta, sometimes it's like herding the cats.
Yes, it is.
Having people deliver things on time, and at the end of the day, you're the one who's held responsible. So what would you say were some of your lessons that you took from that experience?
So you kind of laid it out there just now. And at the end, you talk about all the responsibility that you have. And there's something about a project manager. I always say you're either a hero or a zero. And I just like those odds. Why it connected with me was it's the temporary nature. It's the opportunity to build something. Like everything that's around us, somebody thought and dreamed of before it was ever executed. And that's how I like I'm a dreamer, and I like to dream what outcomes look like. And that's why I trademarked the art and science of vision to reality. And so I learned one of the lessons that I learned is relationships are so important. They're important for negotiation. Like you said about leading without authority, you have to drive humans to do things that align with what you're trying to achieve. And if you can't inspire those humans to do so, you're going to be that zero. So I had to learn a lot about myself first. I had to learn a lot about people. I had to learn the science of negotiations. I had to learn how to communicate so that people understood what I was talking about. And all those things coming together, I would say, is part of the art and science, right? I had to learn the technical parts of project management. And it just is something beautiful about an end product that you had a hand in, right? Even if it wasn't your dream, you had a hand in making it real. And it just every time I do it, I don't know if you think about some kind of character that sort of gets stronger and stronger because every project that they did, it just built them up. That's how I feel. I just feel like I'm just this unstoppable force that keeps growing every time I'm able to bring value to an organization or to myself or others just from executing a project in a manner that either met or exceeded their expectations.
Mm. Yeah. The key thing that I'm hearing, Curtis, is that you're bringing value to others. You're
Oh, yeah.
bringing things to a finish line. You're helping the organization move forward. So definitely having that work ethics and dedication towards work goes long ways because you're not coming from a place of people politics or like, oh, you do this for me or I'll do this. You're going from away from it. Whereas you're focused on like, okay, how can we move this project? How can we all come together and go there? So tell me about the hard time during the layoff.
Oh, man. So I had just finished this major program with the University of Penn. I was so happy
Hmm.
that I achieved my master's in executive management. And I thought this was going to be the key, right? I followed the Temple University professor's um, advice to get a designer label, which was University of Penn and the Wharton School of Business. And so I'm working at my company at the time, Bank One, and I'm thinking, okay, what follows next is promotion.
Mm.
And that didn't happen. In fact, I had a couple of run-ins with the leaders, and so I made a decision, and that decision was to leave the organization and start finding my way because I knew that I was bigger than where I was. Just given the education and relationships and the things that I've learned, I was ready for something new. And then I joined this organization called Student Finance Corporation, and I'm happy because they're hiring me to run their PMO. I'm no longer the project manager in the PMO. I am the person responsible for creating a PMO from scratch, and that was
Mm.
always my dream job. And as we speak now, I've done it 3 times over a number of years.
Hmm.
But I couldn't wait, and I got started, and I got the job. And then about 4 weeks into it, all of a sudden they're laying people off. And I'm like, oh my goodness, right? I just got here. Am I safe? And at the time I was safe in the beginning. 2 weeks later, I'm on the list. That was the single
Oh,
most
that's rough.
it was rough. It was really rough.
Mm.
And so what happened, when I got the news, I went out with some friends that were laid off too. We're drinking, and all I'm thinking is, how am I going to break the news to the family, right? What's going to
Mm.
happen? So I finally got the courage to share that information with the family, and from there, after my son's reaction, "Are we going to be poor?" Right? I laughed at that because he didn't really know what that meant, but he could tell that I was really devastated by it.
Yeah.
And I had to turn it around, and that single incident turned out to be the best thing that ever happened to me in my
Mm.
career.
Mm. And that's beautiful that you are taking that incident as a blessing.
Yeah,
So many times what happens is, when people get laid off, and so many layoffs have been happening throughout this year,
yeah,
and we may see the numbers differently, but people who get laid off, right, that's a major life altering event for them.
yeah.
So not everybody's a project manager. How can during that time or even during another time, like, non-project managers bring that project management thinking to their careers and lives?
So the way that I brought my project management thinking to it, I mean, it goes back to that vision to reality, art and science. It is seeing what you want to achieve. I think we all have imaginations. It doesn't matter who we are, right? Where do we want to be? Where do we want to work? And for me, I wanted to design what my life was going to look like. I love travel and just being able to afford it. Yes, you get a nice salary, you can do it. But I wanted to see the world. Why not join a company that was international? And then what else did I love about my job? I wanted to be someone who could bring value as a project manager to execute on the company strategy. I wanted perks like a cell phone that's paid for because you're going to call me a lot. I wanted to. I just there were other things that I wanted. Oh, I really wanted an organization that was going to align with my values. At the time, I was volunteering with an organization called Black Data Processing Associates, which was designed to help people without access to technology become part of technology and to
Mm,
compete. And so, what kind of companies could help me? And so, what I did was I looked at all the companies in the tri-state area for Philadelphia and Delaware and New Jersey. And I started looking at, okay, so this is what the end looks like, a project management position in one of these companies. And then I believe LinkedIn might have been around, might not. I don't remember using LinkedIn, but what I do remember is going to the census online, getting those companies, and then looking at where does either BDPA have sponsorship or where do I know a person? And I just wrote down a connection to those companies, right? And so that you talk about, that's the vision, the concept. Then there's the plan. So I took the plan and said, okay, how do I reach out to each one of these folks and build some confidence with them that I'm the next person to hire? And I built a routine. I built a plan, a day-to-day routine that says every day I'm going to put 10 names that I want to contact. And that morning I contacted those 10 names and I did it till I got noticed. And a person that used to work for me recommended me. I did an interview. 2 days later, I got the offer. Then I had the job. So I just put a series of things together with some milestones and measured. I went to career fairs. I would even show up. Now, this was right after 9/11, and this is talking about being confident and bold. I would show up with a marketing document on why you should hire me. And I ended up creating a 17-page document that I've used throughout the years that I was trying to push past security guards and saying, hey, I just want to go into the HR department and introduce myself and say, hey, here it is. And I remember going into this office with the judge group down in King of Prussia in Philadelphia. And guy says, nobody does this. And I'm like, I'm hungry. Like, I need to eat. I need a job. So I would do those things, right? I would be doing the organized things like a project manager, but I also took bold actions because I wanted to secure employment.
so you were running that as a project, and that is so powerful because at the end of the day, you came out doing things which nobody else was doing.
That's right.
And from that point onwards, where did your career lead you?
So from that point on, I also said I need to continue building off of vision to reality, the art and science of vision to reality. And then I built realization framework experience, which is another way that I use project management to help companies and small businesses. So I've built from that time not only the PMO, well, I got laid off from that one, but then I found another job with Roman Haas and participated in building the PMO. And then for Keystone Foods, built the PMO. And then where I'm at today, built the PMO. And it's using that framework of understanding what the vision of the organization is going to look like inside of a company and aligning with the strategies, looking at hiring the right people, building a model that allows you to flex up and down with demand so that you don't have to lay people off. coming up with and understanding the language of financials, not just budgets, but also what are the company's financials that they measure, like EBITDA, earnings before income tax, depreciation and amortization, or free cash flow, or force multipliers that they use with their capital investments, things like that. So I can talk to CFOs and
Mm,
then taking all of that together, putting it into a clear plan that I can work daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, and annually, and then building in a sense of a system of accountability,
mm,
right? How to measure those things and then continuously learn, putting in the right metrics, and then driving to good, great outcomes.
mm. So, no, this is, you're talking about that, okay, for the outcomes, you need positioning. So, what are the four P's that you talk about?
You know what? As I finished that, I said, you know what? I should have talked about the four P's of marketing, where I say I don't look for jobs, jobs look for me. That was actually the first thing I did before the realization framework experience. So when I was laid off, there was a course that I took with the ladders. I think it used to be called sixfigurejobs.com. And the gentleman that was teaching said, you got to get into the mindset that looking for a job is sales. And people, a lot of times have a negative view of what sales is, but we're all in sales. I mean, I'm in sales right now. Somebody's going to see this, and I'm hoping that they see that I'm somebody that's valuable, right? And
Mhm.
so he mentioned marketing, and I said, let me do a little bit of study into this on this, and I studied the four P's of marketing, and that's another thing that I drive on. It is posi- uh, I'm sorry, product, seeing yourself as a product and understanding the challenges that you solve and how you can articulate that, right? The value that you bring. Price, how do you get paid for what you do and how do you negotiate that salary? What is a good price in this market for this position and for the extrinsic and intrinsic value that you provide? Position, how do I position myself so that I'm in the right places with the right people solving the right problems? And I like to call it like a supermarket, how to be eye level, buy level, right? Where your most expensive items are right there at eye level. And let's say the things that are below are least expensive items. But with children, for example, that's where they put the candy, right? So that's eye level for them so they can say, Mom or Dad, this is what I want. And then promotion. How do I leverage mentors, but more importantly, sponsors to help promote me while I'm also promoting me? But somebody that knows you when you're not in the room and think of you as that problem solver. And I studied that and I kept that with me. In fact, I wrote my first book on it, right? That talks about my layoff and the four P's of marketing: of product, price, position, and promotion. It's called The Only Job Search Book You'll Ever Need. A bold
Mm,
title, right?
mm. Yeah, the title is absolutely very clear. So now we have talked about the four P's,
Yeah.
and you've mentioned about the realization framework. So can you share with us as to what are the five steps and a quick example for each of them?
The five steps: visualize. So this is where I love to say, I want you to imagine, right? So you have to be able to come up with a vision that you can articulate. So for me, my vision was that I was going to be a director of a project management office in a company in the Northeast with X number of benefits and responsibilities, and that's what I wanted. That was the vision that I had. This is a job seeking example. Then evaluate. Evaluate is who in your circle can help you get to where you want to be. I learned that I did not have a strong network at the time, right? When I lost my job. Well, I corrected that so that I built the type of relationships that helped me get to where I want to be. So I had to add people who were thrusters towards that vision, and I had to subtract people who were, I would say, drags on that vision. And so, how do I surround myself with the right people? And you do this also if you're running a business, right? It's the same thing with employees. You hire your cousin doesn't do the work, you still pay them, right? And I've coached many businesses that have done that. Then it's calculate. So what is it going to cost to get me there, right? In this case, I'm either leveraging the four P's in terms of price, or I'm talking about what is the budget that I'm going to spend that allows me to reach that dream. Um, and then there's clarify. Clarify is bringing it all together. Clarify is the root of who and what I am, and that's the plan that brings the people and the budget along with the set of clear actions that you're going to take. And there's some things that you can do. Like if you're a business, you're going to do some people use SWOT analysis. I like STEEP analysis, looking at the impacts of the societal, technological, and economic, environmental, or political impacts that could have on your business or your job search. Right? I mean, we see that now with the impacts to the government. When I found another job later, I looked at and I wrote this on the whiteboard. Find out where the stimulus money is going, right? So it was a lot of political things happening there, and I got the job at Amtrak. So then there's calculate, there clarify, and then there's realize. And realize is sort of going back in through that circle, right? So you kind of building a system of accountability. Now I have a personal board of directors. My friends, we even created an organization called LEAP, the League of Executive African American Professionals, that we developed just from playing golf together. But our conversations were uplifting. We talked about our careers, we talked about our families, we talked about our aspirations. So we said, well, why don't we just go ahead and make this an LLC? Make this golf trip more fun, but also set some goals where we can talk. So that was my personal board of directors that I still carry today, just like I advise small businesses. Put yourself in a position where you have people that's been there, done that, that have specific sets of skill sets that can help elevate you, so that when you put this vision together, that you can articulate you get the people, or you get some help to get those people. You have a budget and plans for your money, and you got a plan and the metrics that you want to use. Have somebody else help keep you accountable, and so it's that level of accountability that helps keep you going as well. So that's how I would describe the 5 steps of the realization framework experience.
Mm. That's definitely powerful. You've talked about accountability, and
Yeah.
especially as we are getting close to well, maybe just 2 days, today and tomorrow, before we get into the New Year's. And it's so well known that, almost 92% of people fail with the New Year's resolution. So, how can people hold themselves accountable, especially our audience? And when you talk about like some metrics or having that accountability board so that they can be on track with their goals.
Wow. So one of the things I stopped doing was making New Year's resolutions because of that. But what I started doing some time ago is building in systems. So I don't say anymore that I want to lose 20 pounds, for example. I just build in a system. I hired a personal trainer to come to the house, right? And, I work out based off of some of the goals that I want to make. Like, I don't want to be a strong man, so I'm not doing heavy weights. With that process as well, I also have a yoga instructor. And the yoga instructor helps me mentally, and also not just physically, but also in the conversations around diet. So I put that system in place that I've been doing for a couple of years. And now I don't measure whether I am going to lose a certain amount of weight. I can feel when I'm being bad, like during the holidays right now, or when I'm on track. And I do that with everything. I just set up systems and say, okay, what's my overall goal? For me, Curtis Jenkins, the overall goal for me is what I call freedom. And freedom is to do cool things and see cool places with people I love without encumbrances. And those encumbrances are typically money, time, and health. And then finally, to leave a legacy. So, why do I write books? Why do I write articles? Why did I set up my dynasty trust the way that I did? Why do I do much of what I do? It's to leave a legacy. It's to leave the world in a better place than I found it. But inside of it, it's to do cool things. I mean, what I do for a living is so cool, right? I get to create reality through visions. Uh, and see cool places. That's why I said I love to travel. And I'm traveling all the time, at least 3 or 4 times a year to major destinations. I have a whole bucket list of travel. And so I look at that, that's my overarching vision, right? And then,
Mm.
so now I don't have any goals inside of that, except, okay, I say I'm going to write a book. I write the book. I got a new book coming out, which is called Vision to Reality, a bold roadmap to thrive in the age of AI, remote work, and career reinvention. And so I would say if you have a overarching North Star of how you want to live your life, then do that and then put in systems to help you reach those goals. And you'll find yourself just constantly growing.
Yeah, that's powerful, Curtis. And as we kind of go into the New Year's, there's so many times people may have the vision, like, as you're describing, have the overarching goal, and they want visibility, they want recognition in their
Yeah.
jobs, and find that meaning, especially our Gen Zs and millennials.
Yeah.
How can they go about it?
So visibility, it's how do I describe this? So I know how I do visibility, and then I know how people that I lead struggle with visibility. One of the things that happened to me when this company that I was working for was purchased by another. Here I am with the potential of being laid off again, and I'm not. I'm being asked to stay. And one of my colleagues approached me boldly and said, "Why did they ask you to stay, and why are they asking me to leave?
Mm.
I know as many people as you, and I have done as many projects as you." And I was like, wow, I could really be offended by that question, but I'm not. Let me think a little bit deeper. I've learned to be a great listener as a project manager. And what I was hearing was, what's the difference between you and I?
Mm.
And why you and not me? And so what I did graciously was I said, let me help you, but let's explore your question. So when we celebrate every year our accomplishments with the CIO on major projects, how many of your projects is on the board? None. How many of my projects are on the board? And I said, I'll help you, all of them. When we're at the end of the year celebrating, all of my projects are on the board. So one of the things that I did when I came here after going through those other experiences I shared with you is I won't work on a project unless it has visibility, unless it has the potential to have a big impact. And she was shocked. She said, "You can turn down projects?" And I said, "You absolutely can. It 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 may depends on who you are and what you've accomplished. But when I joined the organization, the first question that was asked of me by my boss at the time was, "What do you want to work on?" And I said, "What is everybody else afraid of?" And she says, "Let me get back to you." And that's when I joined. That's when I got into mergers and acquisitions. And at the time, I mean, they're pretty easy to do right now, but at the time, M&As were failing across the board, right? Because of the poor execution in integration or poor due diligence and things like that. They've come a long way now, and they're pretty easy to implement. But that's what I asked. I said, give me what everybody else is afraid of. And so I knew at that point, and it was scary.
Yeah.
Like I do some scary things. I'm going to quickly deviate just to tell you,
Mhm.
man, it's been hard to sleep because I just joined the board of an organization that I've been supporting for years. And I pledged to them that I would raise $5 million in 2 years and create $3 million as an endowment. I've never done that before. I've volunteered, I've led these types of organizations, but I've never done that before. So, one of the things that, if I'm going to talk about advice, like take on what's scary because the growth that comes from it. Remember that hero or zero? Don't run
Mhm.
away from it. A lot of times when I'm talking to people that I work with and they say, aren't you afraid this is going to go awry? And I say, no, I'm not afraid. And I'm not afraid because I'm so confident that I'm just going to do whatever that I'm going to just be successful. One, I'm going to give it my all, but two, this is so big for the organization is going to be behind you. Nobody's going to let you fail, right?
Mhm.
So a lot of that is in your own head, but you volunteering for it, you're in the lead. People recognize you as the person that's leading, and so they want to follow you. They want that confidence. So I would say you got to take on what's scary. This whole thing about remote work sometimes can be an issue. And
Mhm.
here's what I mean by that. If you're invisible and your value isn't coming across, if you're just sort of this cog in a wheel, yes, you have a job. Yes, you have freedom. Yes, you have the remote work. But if you want more, you have to be where the decision makers are. You have to be in their presence from time to time because they have to see you and feel comfortable with your capabilities around your decision making. Now, you can be a leader, let's say in China and the organizations in say Wilmington, Delaware. But if you are leading there, and then when you're joining the calls and you're making an impact and what you recommend, with what you achieve, that's still remote and still being impactful. So I would say to people, just go in, like I was told, like you own the place, meaning it's your purse, it's your project, it's your thing. Put your spin on it, do it with confidence, and be bold and get noticed. That's what I would say.
Mhm. Absolutely. Ah, powerful. So tell us, how can people get in touch with you, where they can find your books? How do you help people?
Yes. Okay. So, how to get in touch with me? You can find me on LinkedIn at Curtis L. Jenkins. You can go to my website, curtisljenkins.com. There you'll find many ways to get in touch with me and also to get my books. So there's the only job search book you'll ever need if you're looking for a job, which again I'm rewriting to be a bold roadmap to thrive in the age of AI, career reinvention, and remote work, which is going to come out in 2026. And
Mm.
then there's vision to reality, stop working, start living. And that's more towards the entrepreneurs. Again, still with the same project management framework, but being able to help different groups of people. And then I have a course coming out. Um, well, I'm sorry, I'm having a live session that's coming up in January, and I'll send you the details about this, but it's going to be a subject called Why I Hate Project Management Professionals. And I am one, right? And so this is just helping project management professionals get a little bit bolder, leveling up their career, and stop making the mistakes that project managers make. I interview project managers all the time,
Mm.
and so I'm hiring them, I'm firing them, and there's these mistakes that they make. And I'm just trying to help people do a better job of either being a better project manager or building a PMO that gets respect. And
Mm.
so those are the ways you can find me. I'm also on Instagram, but I don't really use that. But you'll see some of my things like my Vision to Reality podcast that also featured Divya on it. So you can find that on YouTube as well.
Oh, it was such a pleasure. I am definitely going to head out to your website. And of course, I see your posts on LinkedIn. So definitely, as you saw, Curtis gave us a lot of value. If you're looking to grow in your career, reach out to Curtis and bring that vision to reality.
Yeah.
Thank you, Curtis, for joining us. And I wish you all the best in the new year.
Thank you so much for having me, Divya. And the same. This is going to be a great year for us. Let's go get it.
Absolutely. I like that. Let's go get it. And thank you, wonderful audience, for being part of our show, because without you, the show would not be possible. And I'm going to use Curtis. Take your words and say, let's go get it. Yes, go get your dream. Reach for the stars. And I will say, even stars are not enough. Go what you want, and you'll definitely get it. And thank you, Juan, for making the show possible technically. And I want to wish each and every one of you a very happy new year. And we'll see you in the next few days, but in the next new year. Be well and take care until then.
Thank you for being part of Beyond Confidence with your host, Divya Parekh. We hope you have learned more about how to start living the life you want. Each week on Beyond Confidence, you hear stories of real people who have experienced growth by overcoming their fears and building meaningful relationships. During Beyond Confidence, Divya Parekh shares what happened to her when she stepped out of her comfort zone to work directly with people across the globe. She not only coaches people how to form heart connections, but also transform relationships to mutually beneficial partnerships as they strive to live the life they want. If you are ready to live the life you want and leverage your strengths, learn more at www.divyaparekh.com. And you can connect with Divya at contact@divyaparekh.com. We look forward to you joining us next week.